So today, we're playing a ranger, and we have an unhealing build that might just be the peak of backpack battles. We got the Staff of Unhealing, King Goobert and YGGSDRASIL LEAF coming together for some insane healing, invulnerability and damage. Is this a crazy insane build? Check it out and let me know what you think of it. Okay, let's go jump into some games with a random character and see what we're going to get today. So it looks like we're playing the ranger. We do start off with buying a basket. We do get a little red ruby, little green emerald, and a walrus tusk, which I mean aren't bad options. Now I'm definitely going to grab the spear even though it is not on sale, but it's going to be pretty good round one opener. I do want to grab the banana. I do also want to grab the shiny shell. Let's grab the stone also. I'm going to roll. Now I actually want to craft a claws attack. But do we actually want this whetstone? That's what I'm also considering right now. I don't think we are. I think we're just going to move on. Okay. I think this is going to be our best round one. With a spear, we should be able to deal quite a bit of damage. We should have a little bit of healing efficiency with the amount of nature items we do have. And with a shining shell, we should be able to heal back to full. Winning is basically this first fight. Actually, maybe not. It could be words, but if you didn't have that shiny shell, just pausing the video here very quickly just to ask you to subscribe. It really helps me out. Thanks. Now let's get back to the video. We actually would have lost her. And we did get a skull badge. Which I mean, we do want to go for Staff of Unhealing. If we do get a skull badge. I'm also going to be crafting up the claws attack. That's going to be super important for us. I'm going to roll once. And we definitely need that staff. We need the stamina stack. And unfortunately, we are going to move on. But we'll see. Now we are going to begin an opponent with a Gooberts. With a decent setup. They're going to have a good bit of healing. They have a little tiny bit more max life than us, only 4. We do stack up some debuffs, which is kind of awesome. Mainly because of her skull badge, which is triggered a little bit faster from her gloves of haste, which is going to be inflicting blind, cold, and poison, which is definitely going to carry this fight for sure. And smashing actually. Pretty good overall. And we got our claws attack, which shouldn't be too bad. We're going to be grabbing our stamina sack. We're going to be grabbing the broom. And unfortunately, we're going to end up selling our spear. Now at this point, should we just take a banana or should we just roll? Rolling actually give us another leather bag, which is perfect. I'm going to move on straight away. Now we probably should have our lifesteal on our claws attack because it actually triggers a little bit faster and it also deals more damage, which should be pretty darn good. Now our opponent does have a magic staff, which is going to be dealing quite a bit of damage, but they don't have mana generation, so it's only going to be a big stick and not actually scaling. So we actually win out. Now unfortunately we didn't really get great options here, to be quite honest. We did get Piggy Pinata, which we could take and try to look for some Piggy banks to explode. This has been changed recently to give some crit chance, which is kind of nice. But it has been nerfed with the gold explosions, so I'm thinking we're going to take this and try it out. Thornburst I don't exactly want to take anyway. Just stats for some max life and some base stamina regen. Also pretty good. Let's take Piggy Pinata and look for some Piggy banks. Let's grab a stone, let's roll. Let's grab this bit of storage, let's roll again. And there's a freaking mana orb with health pot with some healing herbs. All some pretty good options. To the point where I'm going to sell a stone. I'm going to sell this and I do want to craft it up immediately. Now unfortunately we didn't get any piggy banks, so it's not so great so far. Now again, still didn't move our little red ruby over to a claws attack, which will be smart. But unfortunately, that's something I'm a little bit lacking today. And every day. But anyway, our opponent is going to be crafting a Bloodthorn, but they are going to be ahead of us in value, to be quite honest. They still have the skull badge, and they're going to have a pretty good setup, unfortunately. But here we've got a magic staff, which should be fantastic. We're going to be grabbing our health pot. We're going to be crafting up a strong health pot. Let's grab a set of blueberries. Let's roll once. Let's roll twice. I actually want to grab a box of riches and piggy bank. Honestly, not doing a whole lot for us right now. Just not finding those piggy banks really bad for us. Now we actually want to keep our red ruby and our magic staff because it's going to be dealing a little bit more DPS. But our opponent is actually dealing quite a bit of damage with that shepherd's crook. So unfortunately, it's not looking good for us. We're going to end up falling short once again. And we finally got a piggy bank and we could literally craft up crit with staff right now. Which I mean, we're going to have to take a piggy bank anyway, because we do want that to be cracked open to get a ton of value to make use of our piggy bank for now. Make use of our skill. Now, do we actually want crit with staff? Not exactly. I'm still going to take it though. I do also want to grab this because I do want to add in more nature items. I'm just going to slot our piggy bank in this position for now. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get our box of riches. We didn't get our leather bag, but I'm going to move on. And right now, this acorn collar is not even going to be doing much for us, to be quite honest. We have no luck. We have no crit chance. Except for the 5% from our Piggy Pinata, and it did move our claws attack out from it, which is not super smart, to be quite honest. We do lose that 5% crit chance, and unfortunately, that could cost us the game. But this time, the staff are dealing quite a bit of damage, but they have no stamina whatsoever. No mana, I mean. And actually, so much people are actually running So much people are running the skull badge, which is kind of crazy. Now, we did get a deck of cards, which I'm going to have to take because that is going to be our crit chance. Which I mean is going to be pretty darn good. We're going to take our box of riches too. Let's roll once. That's a freaking prismatic orb straight away. Which is kind of absurd. Also another box of riches. But I mean, I'm going to have to reserve the prismatic orb. As crazy as that is, that's going to be a lot of gold, but it's going to give us mana from the very beginning, which is going to be perfect for a magic staff. But hey, with a deck of cards in, we do get 2 luck, which does give us a 10% crit chance. Right now, we do have 15% crit chance overall, which should be smashing actually. But our opponent is actually dealing a lot of damage with the markswoman, and unfortunately, we face a opponent with a big power spike compared to us right now. So hey, we definitely want to go Ageless Leaf. We want to go Ageless Leaf because we do want to go for Staff on Healing type builds. And we also really want to grab the Prismatic Orb, so we can start off with a bunch of mana from the very beginning. Which is only going to be 4. But this is also going to be a bunch of mana from the very beginning. I'm going to roll once. And do we actually want a mana orb? I think we do. Well, let's keep moving for now. We should have a little bit more consistent scaling with our magic staff. We should be able to get a bit of healing from our Ageless Leaf, which should mean we should get a big power spike this round. Our opponent is also running Shaman, which they're going to be getting a bunch of buffs. But it is going to be finite for them. And so far, our magic staff dealing quite a bit of damage. And actually, awesome even. And finally, our piggy bank exploded and we got ourselves Amount of Energy. Once we got ourselves a Topaz, which we're going to be increasing speed of our magic torch, our magic staff, which is going to be awesome. Now we're going to grab the Summon Sec. We're going to grab our Mana Orb also. We're going to add in our banana for now. We're going to roll once. We do actually kind of want this Toad too. And we could also go for King Goobert on top of it, which would be fantastic too. Which I mean we're going to reserve. But let's keep going. Now this Mana Orb is not in the most ideal position. It is going to be targeting a Skull Badge, which is going to be pretty fast. But not so fast for a Garlic. So we may actually want to place it up in this position. But we'll see. Our opponent has also run a staff, but so far we're dealing a lot more damage. We have a good bit more healing. And overall smashing actually. We do have a choice to make, and honestly, I'm thinking about taking heavy drinking. We could take blood manipulation, which is deal 20% of your damages healing as well, which is quite interesting too. But heavy drinking on sale with a health pot. Hell yeah, I'm going to be grabbing it. Let's grab our Toad. Actually, it is round 10, so we probably shouldn't have actually bought that. Let's grab our Gooberts. Let's roll. I'm actually going to keep rolling for now. Let's keep it going. And smashing actually. That's perfect. It's exactly what we want to find. Now we're going to sell this and we do want to craft it up this round. Which might mean we're going to be taking out our box of riches for now. But I'm going to move on with this setup. So we should be in a crazy good spot once you craft up this Staff on Healing. Especially with our heavy drinking, with our strong helper. We should be in an insanely good spot. Also, our opponent is putting in a good effort with that anvil. They're going to be dealing quite a bit of damage to us. And overall, smashing even. Then that should be pretty good. Now, crit chance doesn't actually work with our Staff on Healing anymore. Which is something to actually notice. Now, we're going to be taking this. We're going to be crafting up a King's Crown. Also, our little Topaz doesn't actually work with our Staff on Healing either. We're also going to want this box of riches. We're also going to want potion belts. But I'm going to continue on like this right now. And we should be in a much better spot with our Staff of Unhealing, to be quite honest. We do get Invulnerability straight away. But after that, we should be able to deal quite a bit of damage. Every time we do use up our mana with our useless leaf, we should be able to get a big burst of heals, which means our Staff of Healing should be able to deal a lot more damage. The problem is we're going to need a lot of consistent mana scaling. But we're going to be crafting up a King Goobert to add to our healing. And so far, our opponent is actually putting in a lot of work too, and they're going to outpace us, unfortunately. They just stacked up a crazy amount of buffs, and unfortunately we are going to beat a life. We have our King's Crown now, and I do want to be crafting up that King Goobert for sure. Which I mean, I'm going to be grabbing a potion belt because we definitely need some storage for it. And we also want to grab a box of riches to actually keep getting more gemstones. So I'm going to grab it. I'm going to roll, and I definitely want another set of blueberries. It's also a piggy bank, which we definitely need for our Piggy Pinata. So a lot of fantastic items, but just not to storage. Which I mean, we're going to be selling this. We're going to be grabbing this piggy bank. We're going to take out the stone. Problem is, we do need to fit this in, and I think we're going to take out our Star of Courage for now. I'm going to sell this little topaz to grab these blueberries. And yeah, we're going to move on. But this should be pretty good. We do start off with a bunch of mana. We do get Invulnerability. And we should be able to craft up that King Goobert. King Goobert is going to give us a lot more Invulnerability. It should be giving us a crazy amount of heals. And it should be overall insanely awesome. And also, the heavy drinking to be giving us a lot of healing also. A lot of regen stacked up, which is also adding to our build. And so far, smashing. And we got a King Goobert, which should be amazing. Let's grab the storage. Let's also grab this, which is Amulet Steel, which not the amulet I did want, but it is the amulet that we got. Now we could actually get a bunch of power stacked up this way. But honestly, I don't exactly want to be quite honest. I'm going to keep rolling. Let's keep going. Now, I actually want this toad though. So I definitely want the toad. I do want to slot it in this position. Also want the skull badge in this position also. Now I'm going to sell this. I do want to add in our red rubies. I'm going to sell that stone. Now, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wait around to actually grab this extra mana orb. But we'll see. We do have our heavy drink in this position. We do have our crit chance on our claws of attack. And we should have pretty good triggers for our Gooberts to keep consistently giving us health. And so far, look at this damage. Smashing even. And overall, crazy. Because once we proc our Goobert, it does use up mana, which does give us a ton of healing from Leech's Leaf. So I mean, we end up with a 60 DPS, dealing 400 damage within 8 seconds. And we end up with a 60 heal per second, which is pretty darn good overall. Our build gets much better if we did have a Falcon Blade. And also maybe if we had a big red ruby like this one right here. That's straight up nuts. Now Claws Attack is not really that great for us, but we're kind of just more into an on-healing type build. Now Falcon Blade would have been smashing because it triggers our Goobert pretty fast. We could stack up a bunch of Vampirism on top of it. Now we still want more Prismatic Orbs because more holy items we do stack up. More healing efficiency we do actually get from it. Which I mean that's going to be much better in this position. And yeah, I definitely want to grab this. Now we did want to keep our deck of cards to potentially get some Hollow Fire Lizards, which increase our on healing damage. And also get a Lover's card. But I think we're going to leave for now. Which I mean, this mana orb is just going to slot in here, which is less than ideal, but I have to do for this round. I'm going to move on. Now our opponent is rocking a guard power Dead Sigh with the Unsettling Presence. With the snake, which I mean, they're going to be stacking up a lot of poison on us. But we're instantly dealing that damage, and that was a 72 damage hit from King Goobert's, which was definitely absurd. For sure. Getting this big red ruby is kind of crazy, not gonna lie. But hey, let's keep moving. We definitely have a crazy setup right now. We did get ourselves a pineapple. Water Susks. Oh, really not great options. And we did get our deck of cards back, which is kind of funny. But we're not going to be taking that. We're going to be taking a Prismatic Orb. We're going to be selling that pineapple. We're going to be selling this too. We're going to be grabbing this bit of extra storage. Which it did change all setup around, but we do lose a few nature items. We do have two Prismatic Orbs in this position, getting some increased healing efficiency. And also a bunch of mana from the very beginning. which should be pretty good. Now I'm going to grab a banana because it is going to be a nature item. I'm going to roll once. Do we actually want a glowing crown on top of it? I think we do. I'm going to sell this roll one more time. And I'm actually just going to move on with this for now. But this should be much, much better. We should start off with a crazy amount of mana, 29 to be exact. Which I mean, we almost can proc our mana orbs. Which would be a big burst heal. And so far, that invulnerability keeping us super healthy and we're dealing just incredible damage. And overall, smashing actually. Let's grab our glowing crown. Let's roll once. I'm going to roll again. Now we definitely want to grab one final prismatic orb. I do also want to grab a stamina sack pretty damn badly. And I also want to craft up another glowing crown. Which I mean, Piggy Pinata has been good and all, but I think it's time we actually get rid of it. We're going to be selling all these. We're going to be grabbing this bit of extra storage. We're going to place our toad in this position, which should be pretty darn good. But hey, let's keep going for now. And we'll see. Now we probably could have kept our King's Crown in beside our Gooberts. That's going to be faster trigger speed. We're adding in another King Crown. Means we're going to get even more invulnerability. And so far, our opponent can't even deal any damage to us because we have so much invulnerability. And even if they do, we're just back to full HP. Which is absurd for sure. I mean, our opponent had 27 DPS because of the invulnerability. And we did actually have. But hey, we do end up with a 90 DPS with 100 heals per second and 8 seconds of invulnerability. That's actually 6.5 seconds of invulnerability. Which is straight up absurd, for sure. But hey, we got ourselves a King's Crown. We could craft up a Goobert if we find one. But honestly, we're just going to be grabbing another prismatic orb. Let's grab a set of blueberries. Let's roll once. And a heart container on sale, we definitely want to grab. Because we can instantly proc that with each of the sleeve, which is going to be increased healing efficiency. Which I mean, I'm going to move on with this situation. Our prismatic orbs all targeting each other. Which I mean, we should have a crazy amount of healing efficiency. We should have an absurd amount of mana. We did proc our mana orb, which we got a big burst of buffs. And our opponent's already dead. Which is genuinely crazy for sure. And we have a 200 healing per second. At 200 healing per second with 124 DPS. Which is crazy insane for sure. Now honestly, taking blood manipulation was definitely play because our build is becoming more of a burst build rather than a long scaling build. Meaning we'd prefer the damage boost rather than the long term healing effects of the proccing our potions. Let's grab a heart container. Let's roll. Let's grab this. What's it going to be? The Amulet of Wiles. But honestly, I might actually have this all. Let's add in our heart container. Let's roll it for now. That's another glowing crown, which I genuinely actually want. Now actually, I'm going to be selling our crit chance, Archon Collar. We don't exactly need it anymore. We don't get crit chance on our Staff of Unhealing, which is the vast majority of our damage. We could probably get rid of a Claws of Attack. We're going to grab a card for now too. Now otherwise, if we didn't move our whole setup around to have our heart container down in this position, I would probably prioritize taking this glowing crown. I'm going to sell this banana, to roll once, and another mana orb on sale for 3. Actually, should we just take it and get rid of this? Actually, yeah, let's do it. Let's grab this also. Let's make sure this is in the right position. And now we should be in a crazy, crazy good spot. And we're going to see. Are we going to be able to win out? Or are we going to fall short? I'm going to slow this one down. We are going to begin a Cry Monster, which is going to be inflicting a lot of debuffs on us. But with each of those leaf, we do cleanse a lot of debuffs once we proc any mana. But that's an absurd amount of colds. And actually, we could be in big, big trouble here. We got our invulnerability. We do cleanse a little bit of the frost. And all of a sudden, we're dealing a fair amount of DPS. And we do need to get that invulnerability again, which we did get. And actually, hold on a second. One more hit from them and we actually lose. We still actually end up winning. Which is kind of crazy. With the amount of frost, they did actually stack up. But hey, we did end up with 120 healing per second, which is kind of awesome. We did end up with a 65 DPS. With the amount of cold that they did stack up on us, I mean, these prismatic orbs were 18 seconds to activate, which is kind of crazy. Staff of Unhealing, 4.5 seconds. So unfortunately, our DPS did drop quite a bit. We got super lucky as well. Our opponent didn't have a whole lot of healing reduction. But let's go and see. I just want to see how much cold we actually cleansed. We actually cleansed 40 frost. I mean, our opponent should have had 100 frost on it. But our build right now is pretty darn good with Aegisla's Leaf and that King Goobert. But anyways, we did survive 2 lives left. I just want to say thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And I hope you see you back up for the next one. See you next time.